Okay, going to call the Policies and Priorities Committee meeting to order for Tuesday, June 16th. Take approve of the agenda, please. Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. That the June 16th, 2026 Policies and Priorities Committee meeting agenda be adopted as presented.
Seconder. Councilor Noxena. All in favor? Carried. Adoption of the minutes for May 11th, 2026 Policies and Priorities Committee meeting minutes. Recommendation, please. Councilor Noxena.
That the May 11th, 2026 Policies and Priorities Committee meeting minutes be adopted as presented.
Seconder. Councillor Hoffman, any errors or omissions from council? Ms. Scott?
No.
Thank you. Call the question, all in favor? Carried. Any business arising from the minutes, council? Ms. Scott?
No.
Thank you. Okay, report 6.1, amend 45 storage spaces policy, report dated June 16, 2026 from the manager of recreation regarding the amend 45 storage space policy. Recommendations. Councillor Noxena.
I'm going to go right to recommendation 2 unless somebody has,
Just go to 2, they can discuss it in there.
that council forwards the admin 45 storage spaces policy to a regular council meeting for adoption.
Seconder. Councillor Hoffman, discussion. Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. So, I think it was a great report, but I do notice that, the district is going to be reclaiming a few storage closets utilized by nonprofits. My only concern is if we are funding these nonprofits, we take away their storage space, we may need to fund them to buy more storage space. Do we know if there's any other storage options that we can give our nonprofits that are currently using our storage spaces, or are we just saying, sorry, our needs are, we need our space and, you have to find other, other accommodations?
Yeah, same question. Ms. Scott?
No, if there was other storage available, we'd be using it instead of clawing these back. So no, there's no other storage spaces that we're aware of.
Follow up.
Nope, thank you.
Ms. Scott, are we, whose lockers are we taking over? Or whose storage spaces are we removing from the community center and using for ourselves?
That I will ask the acting director of community services if he can provide information on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Scott, Mayor and Council. Room 1 is a TR Cares storage locker. There's one that is in room 3, which is belongs to the library. And there is also a potential for taking one of the Lions. They have 4 of the storage lockers. Okay. So.
Thank you. Ms. Scott, have we been in contact with these non-for-profits, making sure that they're aware that we'll be looking at taking over locker space?
We have contacted the nonprofits to make them aware that we're bringing this policy forward to council. All of the details of those conversations, again, I'll ask the acting director of community services to provide council additional information on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Scott, Mayor and Council. Yes, communications have been had with these not-for-profits, letting them know that this is coming forward. It is at that point that they'll let us know if they require the storage locker or not, and at that point, then we will take it back. So.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion by council? Okay, going to call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Mayor Kirkowka and Councillor Norbury opposed. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to grant and aid and fee for service policy amendments. Report dated June 16, 2026 from the Chief Administrative Officer regarding the grant and aid and fee for service policy amendments. Pardon me, recommendation. Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. That council receives this report for discussion.
Seconder, Councillor Noxena. All in favor? Carried. Councillor Norbury, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for staff for bringing this forward. I see that we're going to be, kind of cutting it down the middle where we used to be multiple years ago, where we were last year, and we're going to do it at the end of October. So let's give it a try, see how this works, and hopefully it'll be better for our nonprofits this year and works out for staff. Thanks.
Any other discussion? Okay. Put the recommendation on the floor that council directs staff to bring forward the amendments to grant and aid policy TR-28 and fee-for-service policy TR-40 to the next regular meeting of council for adoption. Seconder, Councillor Hoffman, discussion. Again, I just want to thank staff because I know it did not work well for not-for-profits when it was in the summertime. I know it was something staff was trying to try to meet budget as we were trying to push the budget sooner. And obviously, staff figured out a date that does work for staff as well as for council. We have till the end of January for approval, which gives us some time. So I appreciate staff going in and working on that. Okay, can I call a question? All in favor? Carried. Next steps for culture safety graphic visualization implementation report dated June 16, 2026 from the executive assistant CEO, mayor, and council regarding the next steps for cultural safety graphic visualization and implementation. Recommendation, Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. That council receives this report for discussion.
Seconder, Councillor Noxana, all in favor? Carried. Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'm glad this is coming back in front of us because I think we did a pretty great job by hiring this consultant group to create this graphic for us so that we have something similar to what the PRRD does. You know, we and staff, like the team, put this together to try and, you know, have a visualization of where we are and where we want to be. So I'm incredibly proud of it. And I honestly believe that this should be in a place of prominence for all of us to see and the public to show what we've done. You know, I'd love to be able to, in council chambers, I'd love to be able to see it on the wall. In the community center, I'd love for it to be there so that we could see it and show it off to our community as well. And then also have it in our, you know, our public courtyard, if it's amenable to our staff there, to show, you know, the work that, you know, our public work director had when, you know, when we built this. So I think it's something that we should be celebrating and we should be showcasing everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion? Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. I totally agree with Councilor Norbury. I think this is a really good binder for thinking about where we're going. I think it should be everywhere. The listed plats, not just for public, but for employees as well. So Public Works Building, a community center, town hall, like whatever town golf course, like wherever we have something, I would like to see this be up there. I'd also like to see a rather large, prominent one. I'm not sure the exact aspect ratio here, but something like a 6x4 or 5x3 feet version, probably in the community center, somewhere that is central for the community, be up there. And I was actually thinking that I have a budget number that they can start to look at, but I'll wait till our graphics expert is in council before I'd throw that out there. But yeah, everywhere for me.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Councillor Bertrand.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I agree. I think we need to showcase it in all of our district buildings. And I would like to see it kind of larger than smaller, just because there is a lot of writing on it. So if there is somebody that is wanting to, you know, explore all the different graphics on it, there is a lot of writing on it. So I think it needs to be big and prominent so that people don't have to read it with glasses, I guess.
Thank you. Councillor Noxana.
Thank you. I agree we should be displaying this and having it out in the public, but I would also like to hear from staff where, and this doesn't need to be answered today, but where they feel it would be best in their workspaces. I think it's great for us to go in and say, put it in Public Works, the fire hall, everywhere, but how do they feel like it would be done well? And what would the cost be? If it's a waterproof sign, then what's the cost for that? So that we can do it properly and incorporate it into workplaces. I think a director from every department, I can't really remember, helped work on this. So we have a lot of buy-in from various departments across the community. So I'd like to hear that before we decide where to display it fully.
Yeah, Ms. Scott, I would think it's going to be up to council. One thing, it should be displayed in the council chambers. I believe we should take, you know, did come, I mean, and Councilor Bertrand said it with the PRRD as well. And that was one of their initiatives, and it sits at the front of the chair's seat. Ours, I think, we have a fairly large area, it should be there. I think there's different ways of implementing it in some of the workspaces throughout the district. Maybe it's not framed as this one would be. It could be different versions of it just for costs, because it can get costly when we start doing this. So there is other ways of doing it, but Ms. Scott?
Yeah, that's a conversation we can have at a senior management meeting, how the directors feel would this graphic visualization would best serve their departments.
Councilor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor, and I appreciate Ms. Scott weighing in there. I think like for myself, when I first term of council, we got these little cards that had key questions on it that I had at my wicket that I looked at whenever we were discussing things. How does this serve your community? And there's a few others. That's the big one that I remember. But it was something visual that I could look at every single time to remind me, to center myself on what we should be doing. And I think this graphic of cultural safety should be, at least for us, and I think us as a district as well. We're the ones setting the tone or helping to set the tone across our municipality. And I think this is key if we want to be moving forward in relations with other nations in our community. So I'd like to motion that for the graphic visualization to be put up in all district buildings and in places of prominence in Town Hall. Thanks.
Seconder? Councilor Noxana, discussion? I guess we need to, I think we need to, whether it's an amendment or something like that, are we looking for the same one throughout everything or different concepts? And when I ask that, Councilor Norbury, I'm talking like, to me, I think the one in the chamber should be properly framed and all that. I think it can be different when it's in, again, whatever they decide within the facilities, if it's in a staff room or wherever it may be. It could be a different version of it, just so that the staff's clear what we're looking for.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. And I didn't really want to get too specific because the last thing I want to do is to say that we need to have an 8x11 at Fire Hall. We need an 8x11 at Town Public Works. I think leaving it broad would be to allow for staff to indicate what size they would like, and they can bring it back to us. I myself would love to see something large for us to see. I can appreciate your comments about having it at the chair, but I'd love for us to be able to view it, like perhaps under the exit sign or what have you. But I felt it might be up to the directors in their space to determine the size and prominence, and they can get back to us about that.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'm not ready for that quite yet. I still want the pricing, like what are the options? If I do 4x6 with a frame and now it's $2,000, maybe I'm willing to pull back and say, okay, maybe we're not quite ready for that yet. And I wouldn't mind if the directors first had their conversation of what they would like to see and what they would need and whatever bells and whistles we want to up the display. And until we get that information, we can't put a number to it, which is why I'm not quite ready to support that nature of motion. I very much do want to see it go forward, but let's give staff a time to bring back what they would like to see and their reasoning. Thank you.
Make an amendment if you like. So his amendment is to do it. You can make an amendment to bring the costs back if you wish.
Okay. That's okay. It strikes me as a different motion at that point, but if you think that's appropriate, I would say
Sorry? It would, but we can do it for costs from the PMP. It'll come down as a cost.
okay, no, then I would move to amend that costs be included before we make a decision on whether we want to go forward with that.
Seconder on the amendment, Councilor Norbury. Discussion on the amendment. And I appreciate Councilor Hoffman because that was my concern too, is we're just given clear direction to go and do it, which would come to a regular council meeting without cost, knowing if we have the budget for it within the council's initiative budget. So, okay, call the question on the amendment. All in favor? Carried. Any more discussion on the amended motion? Okay, call the question. All in favor? Carried. Okay, there is some other options on page 38, council direction requested. So there is conversation in regards to adding it to the webpage. on the district website, so a dedicated culture safety webpage on the district's website featuring the graphic, which I think's, to me, I think it's important, not only just for our residents who live here today, but people that are looking up our community. I think as we did it as a full group, obviously with staff and with the elected officials, and everybody weighed into it and had some say in it, and I think that's important. I'd just be curious what council thinks of that, as adding that as a dedicated webpage. Councillor Hoffman?
Thank you, Mayor. I mean, I liked it when I thought of it, but I have trouble visualizing on how that would work. Like, are we directing people to that webpage? Is that graphic being integrated in other ways? It's not my area, but in general, like, absolutely, I think our webpage is an extension of everything else we do in town. So I'm just not sure if a dedicated webpage is where that belongs, or if it belongs like on the main webpage that with a graphic leading to. Like, I don't have a visualization of where it goes, but I absolutely would support it being part of the web presence as well.
Thanks, Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I think it would be important to have on a web page or on our website somewhere, or something like, even as a potential background in some of our socials for our profile pictures or whatever. And the reason why I say that is more and more people are their first touch point to our community is through digital means. Like, people are researching before they come. And, this goes back to our previous discussion about, I think we want to showcase this everywhere because we're proud of it, and we want to show that we are an organization moving towards cultural safety. But if, the majority of people coming here see us for the first time on the internet and this is missing, it might give good cause for us to have it on a website so that somebody can see, like, oh, wow, this is interesting. Maybe we have First Nations partners who we've reached out to for something, and they're curious about us, and they're doing their researching, or even using AI to do their researching, and they're asking about how we are coming along in our cultural awareness. And if this is on there, that could be beneficial for them to see that we are moving towards a cultural safe community. So I think it'd be a good thing to have on the website. Thanks.
Okay. Any other discussion? I guess just to Ms. Scott, would it be a drop-down tab, or can we add it in general? I don't know who would add it and how the websites worked, but.
Yeah, I mean, I see it as being a page that's accessible as an option on our main website. So on our main website, where it has general government or all of the other, and it could even be under general government, and it takes you to another page that's got maybe some of the things that we've done on our cultural safety journey, as well as who our First Nations neighbors and partners are, some of the other First Nations or Indigenous. Maybe there's links to our MOUs with the First Nations in addition to this graphic. I feel like it would be accessible through a drop down to that page off our main website.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion by council? Put a motion on the floor that we direct staff to look further into adding the dedicated culture safety on the webpage of the district's website. Seconder, Councilor Noxana. Discussion. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. And there, just one other thing. I'll go, Councillor Hoffman.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're all good, man.
I was wondering if council felt it was appropriate to make it available for Tumbler Ridge businesses if they're interested in the image, including it in their perhaps tourism documentation, or even our own tourist documentation. I kind of like the idea of this just being as public domain, that anybody can use it if they wish. I'm not sure if that, I haven't looked at the background of this, I'm not sure if that's allowed, but I kind of want this as anywhere that it can go. And if a Tumbler Ridge business wants to use it, I'm inclined to let them, unless there's a reason not to. I guess I'm asking staff if that's an appropriate thing to do.
Thanks. Ms. Scott.
Well, this graphic represents council's cultural safety journey, not necessarily that business may have their own or a separate cultural safety journey. This just represents the District of Tumbler Ridge's journey.
Yeah, and I think if somebody ever wanted to, they could reach out. And again, it is a directive that was done by the elected officials and Ms. Scott and her staff. So I think if other businesses want to do something, I think, they would have a direction on what their business stands for. It doesn't mean they can't use ours. And I don't disagree with you. That was going to be the comment I make, and I don't know if Ms. Scott needs a motion or not. Councillor Bertrand be aware of it as well, attending the PRD minister meetings. PRD, when we attend minister meetings, and it's whether that's at UBCM or at any other time, we have a folder that has the logo of the PRD on it, but it has about our safety culture awareness training, as well as our visual statement that goes in this folder to every minister when they meet, and with some other background information about the PRD. And I think maybe we should look into how that is put together by the PRD, and see if it's something that we can also do up. I think it's important when we go to the minister meetings that we make it acknowledge that we have come out and worked together as a strong team, staff and elected officials, and came out with a safety culture safety training, but also came out with a visualization of that. I'm not sure, Ms. Scott, if you'd need a motion to look into that, or if you could just do that.
I would prefer a motion.
Okay, I'll put a motion on the floor that Ms. Scott contacts PRD. Just get some feedback in regards to how their portfolio that they hand off to when they meet with ministry. Seconder, Councillor Bertrand, discussion. Call the question, all in favor? Carried. Okay, anything else from council? Okay. Moving on to community recovery update, report dated June 16th, 2026 from the Chief Administrator Officer regarding community recovery update. Recommendation from council. Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor, that council receives this report for information.
Seconder, Councillor Noxana, discussion. Guess my only comment would be, Ms. Scott, do we have a timeline when we'll have a more plan in place? The council will be able to see with some of the, the actual points. It mentions a lot in regards to summer's coming. We need to make sure we're doing stuff. What does that look like? Have we budgeted for this kind of stuff? What's the plan?
We are hoping to see a draft plan by the end of July.
Okay.
And that draft plan will include short-term, midterm, long-term community recovery.
Okay, but when we talk about, within this summary, it talks about maybe some lacking for youth activities as school breaks. What's, I actually, I was hoping that we'd have a bit more points pinned with this update.
So there is a group that is meeting weekly. And so that group, there is Foundry, CYMH, School District 59, District of Tumbler Ridge Youth Services Society. I believe Kanuma was going to be invited because they had started planning some summer camps as well. I believe, and I don't know if she's reached out yet or not, but I believe the recovery manager was going to reach out to Geopark and Museum as well. I may be missing some partners there. Safer Schools Together is also at that table. The library is going to be invited to sit at that table. Anybody that's offering any kind of youth programming, so we can ensure that there aren't any gaps. And then if there are gaps, there is additionally the funders table, which is another table that is sitting that we can use to access funds if there are gaps, to make sure that we have enough programming. And when we're talking about programming, for all ages of children and youth, we want to make sure there's everybody has lots to do to keep them busy this summer.
Okay, appreciate that. Any other discussion? Call the question, all in favor? Carried. Take adjournment, please. Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor, that the June 16th Policies and Priorities Committee meeting be adjourned.
Seconder, Councillor Hoffman, all in favor? Carried.